what I tried to do was make this as clear to see as you can get it. You know, I wanted to show our positions on the map. You know, I showed Mark's position, took pictures from both places. I did the fade ins as you can see on the screen, and you know, just want to make everything very simple, very easy to see, you know, easy to understand. So this is my position. That's his position. There's, you know, the one island there, and then there's a second one right next to it, and that's where I see the laser, and just put all the numbers up. And the thing is, and I talked about this video the other night. There's the one from the Discovery Channel when they did their laser experiment. You know, there were some issues with that with that video in particular, and the way that they carried out that particular experiment. The globe believers, they hold the Discovery Channel to a much more lenient standard of experimentation, because there was so much editing in between. There was commentary, there were interviews in between. There was one point where the laser beam was on the side of the boat, and then there was one cut scene where the people were talking on the boat. The lady was talking to the guy on the boat, and the laser in one scene was on her shoulder. It was covering her neck, like the beam had spread out from when it was on the boat. Like one cut earlier, they're talking, the beam's on her, and then the next scene, the beam's on the side of the boat, and they just ride the boat off. So, I mean, we weren't told who these people were. They were volunteers. That's all we knew. And I mean, there were just issues with that whole thing. So that whole Discovery Channel experiment, that was a lot less technical than mine was, because they didn't even tell us exactly where they were. We didn't see any numbers flash on the screen. I didn't hear them say anything about refraction. I didn't hear anything about that, but you know, I didn't hear anything about beam divergence or light dispersion. I didn't hear any of that stuff from their video. But you know, the globe believers, they'll come back to us and say, aha, we got it. This is our smoking gun. See, the laser was higher. I'm like, well, the laser beam could have been manipulated because they cut the scene from the lady on the beach so many times. How do we know? Debunked. Sorry. Because they wouldn't let us get away with that, would they?
Absolutely
you could
not.
Tell it was just made for television. That wasn't a real experiment. I don't care if it was called Discovery Channel or not. No.
Yep.
Yeah, they were selective with the truth, and that's what you find with a lot of ballers or people like that believe in the globe, is that they are dishonest and they won't show the good and the bad. All they have is a belief, and that's all it is. What we're doing is breaking through that belief, and we're trying to make them understand, you know what? Eventually, you saying terrestrial refraction is going to sound so dumb when we have so much evidence. I mean, that 220-mile test that was released about a week ago. Have you seen that video?
I have not. I believe someone sent it to me just yesterday. I didn't have a chance to look at it though.
Well, I mean, if that can be verified, I mean, it looks pretty legit. I mean, that is just sensation. 220 miles away, he saw this mountain, and it was only, I think, 1,500 feet tall. And he was basically seeing it to the base. Now, I went to Wales about a week ago, and I filmed the Isle of Man, took images of the Isle of Man. It was very tricky, very misty, but I was able to identify the mountain ranges and such. And I was able to conclusively show that I was getting down to at least 200 feet above sea level. Right now, the curvature calcs, if you believe still them, should have been 1,400 feet missing. 1,400 feet. I mean, we're talking the Isle of Man was over 60 miles away.
Wow.
When I was filming this. Yeah.
While we've got this, sorry to interrupt, Ranty, just while we've got this on screen, Daryl, can you just talk us through, again, because it's visual now as well, what's going on? I know it's obvious, but just for those who may not be aware of what's literally happening right now.
Okay, well, let me see. Let me go back. All right, so yeah, what's happening now? This is the shot where this is on the left-hand corner here. That's the video that's being taken from my P900. I just decided to go ahead and edit that into the video. So the main video in the larger box, that's from a live stream that I was doing at the same time. You can see the laser from the other side. And at this point, the phone is at a level of about 3 feet above sea level. So I walk forward a little bit in front of the camera, and here's where I put the phone on the ground, where everybody could still see the laser in the distance. There were about 150 people or so watching that live stream, and you could still see the laser across the water, even if the phone was on the ground. So I walk forward, I put the phone almost into the water, and we could still see the laser from a distance, you know? So I just thought that's as simple as it can be. That's as easy to see as, you know, it gets. If you can see a laser from 10 miles away, I don't believe that over the course of, you know, beyond 10 miles, water starts to bend and bulge and turn into no, that doesn't happen. So I'm thinking about going into retirement, actually, because, like, what else is there after that?
You'll get the bug. You'll have the bug for doing this.
Yeah.
That laser that you've got is really good. I mean, you gave me the link where you can buy it. Are you thinking of upgrading to get the 5,000 watt one, and perhaps doing some longer tests?
Well, here's the thing, that it wasn't even my laser. It was actually my buddy Mark's laser. He had the idea. I called him on Saturday, and I just had a really bright flashlight that I bought a while back, and I figured, you know, if it were dark enough, I'd be able to see that flashlight from the other side and be able to film that and say, haha, okay, so we could see the flashlight, boom, there it is. But it's his laser, and he's been talking to me about it, and there are other more powerful lasers that we could get, but they would be shipped in from the UK, and he ordered one, and it was rejected by customs. So we can't get much more powerful laser than the one that we had, without, you know, maybe a smuggler or some like official military or government individual sneaking it in for us. But
so what was the beam divergence at that? Was it just over 10 miles? Do you know how wide the spread was at that distance?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head. Not right now.
Fair enough.
Well,
no, I'm sure half of the globies know, though.
Yeah, I'm not too sure the divergence really helps their argument anyway. As I said, it would have to encounter the hump first. So the physical blockage, their horizon, everything past that is going down. So even if it was spreading out, it would have to be spreading out and curving around the Earth at 7.6R. So they're still claiming refraction. That's what they're doing.
Oh, of course they're going to claim refraction. I mean, but I would imagine, does refraction actually get them there, especially with the camera shot?
No, because I'll tell you for why as well. You know, the laser beam, you can tell you're looking directly at the source of the laser beam because there's a very, very, very clear and bright blue beam, and that's in the very center. So you can tell you're actually looking at the source of it. You can actually see when he's moving around, you can see the beam itself move slightly, but that's less clear. It's not as bright as the focal point. So you're definitely looking at the laser head, definitely.
Yep. And that was my favorite part, that's again with the Discovery Channel experiment, their laser test, that whole situation. You know, they cut away so many times, and what I did, I talked to Mark and I said, look, here, I'm going to give you my backup camera, and just make sure you film whatever you can, as much as you can, while we're in communication, so everybody can see what goes on both sides. And I'll kind of put the videos side by side some way or another, so everybody can see exactly what's going on. We didn't get that with the Discovery Channel, you know?
Yeah, it's selective reporting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned earlier, I was going to get Ranty to pipe up at that point, but yeah, so you said we would never get away with that. So over to you, Ranty. Would we get away with such things on the flat Earth side?
No, we have to. It's got to the point now where people are now saying that my evidence can be discarded simply because it's not good enough that I show them my location, height above sea level, distance to target, everything like that. They're now demanding that I have temperature of the water. What's the barometer pressure? You know, I need all this now to continue with this this ball killing proof that I keep putting out. And
what's just
like
out
I
of
say,
interest,
it's never enough for them.
Well, what's that got to do with 76R exactly?
76R, nothing.
Well, they were asking you for all this information, presumably so they can calculate some sort of refraction, but it's already done for you, lads. The only bit you need really to prove in your refraction calculation, ballers, is the R bit. 7.6 is kind of irrelevant, you can pull that out your ass, but the R bit, that needs proving. In R you trust,